Hello, this is Alan, welcoming you to the 1981st edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper. Dateline, 27th of November, 2014. The readers this week are Sonia, Jenny and myself, with Ian on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser, and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is, of course, Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local stories this week include Unlocked Parks row rages on as council meeting debate is stifled, Suspended Secretary calls for candidate to be investigated, Tributes paid to motorcyclist at inquest into his death, and firebugs strike at playground. If you're experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020-8805-6578. She is your listener's representative and will be very pleased to help you. Now, Sonia will read the first item of local news.
Residents were left fuming last week after the debate they had hoped to hear at the council meeting on Wednesday about whether the borough's park should be left unlocked overnight was scrapped. A motion had been tabled by Conservative group member Terry Neville, calling on Cabinet Member for the Environment, Chris Bond, to axe plans for 22 parks not to be padlocked at night. Residents left the meeting in disgust just before 10 p.m. after repeated attempts by Tory councillors to move the item up the agenda were voted down by the Labour group. It is just soul-destroying. Sue Younger, a member of the Friends of Broomfield Park and a Palmer's Green resident, told the Advertiser. She explained that she had attended the meeting specifically to hear the arguments surrounding the issue. Leaving the gates unlocked is an open invitation. It is just such a risk, she said. We have already had a break-in at the community cafe in Broomfield Park. There is also evidence that a lot of drinking goes on in that park, and a rough sleeper even broke into the conservatory. What would it be like if it was even easier for people to get in? Peter Gibbs, the chairman of the Federation of Parks Friends Groups in the borough, also attended the meeting, only to be disappointed by the lack of debate on the issue. Mr. Gibbs, who is leading the fight against the proposal that would save the council £22,000 in overtime payments to park wardens, added, "The police have never been asked about this. They are not even mentioned in the document that accompanied the initial proposals. No risk assessment has been undertaken and, most significantly, there is no proposal to consult meaningfully on any of this. The only concession we got out of Mr. Bond at the scrutiny meeting when the proposal was called in was that he would delay the decision until the new year." He added that it appeared as if the council was just going to stuff the decision down our throats after the motion tabled by the Conservatives group was not discussed. However, Mr. Bond refutes the suggestion that police have not been consulted on the plans. The council buys some PCSOs to patrol the parks and they go where they are needed, he said. The reason why people might not see them is because they only go to the parks when they are called. As for the suggestion that we are stuffing it down people's throats, I'm going out to meet friends groups, and I've written to every friends group affected by these plans. Asked why the Labour group had not agreed to Conservative calls for a debate on the issue, Mr. Bond said, "We agreed the position on this a fortnight ago. Officers are running around doing their best, and we cannot let last-minute demands set the agenda."
A motorcyclist who died after his bike hit a milk float was described as a man who had a 1-in-a-million smile. during his inquest this week. Hassan Turgay of Kings Road, Edmonton, collided with the milk delivery van in Ridge Avenue, Winchmore Hill, just after 11 p.m. on May the 20th this year. The 26-year-old was rushed to hospital with serious injuries, but was pronounced dead the following night. More than 30 members of his family attended Barnet Coroner's Court on Monday, some wearing T-shirts emblazoned with his photo and the words R.I.P. Hassan. The inquest heard how Mr. Turgay had not undertaken the compulsory training to ride a motorcycle as powerful as the one he rode, which he used twice a week. On the night of the accident, he had spent the evening at a restaurant with friends before they all rode home on separate bikes at around 11 p.m. During the course of the journey home, Mr. Turgay, who worked as a handyman, was separated from his friends before he fell off his bike and crashed into the milk float. His friend, Osgur Gula, who had been riding in front, said he witnessed the accident and immediately rode home to get help from friends. When his sister, Kema Turgay, asked why he had not stayed with his friend and tried to get help locally, he replied, "I panicked. I was in shock. You never know what you're going to do in that situation. The first thing I wanted to do was to get help. I could see him moving under the van, so I thought he would be okay. I didn't have a phone on me and wanted to get help." Ronald Joyce was driving the milk float at around 25 miles per hour when he saw Mr. Turgay veer onto his side of the road after overtaking another car. The motorcycle crashed into the oncoming van. Mr. Joyce immediately applied his brakes before he and his passenger, Robert Joyce, ran out to tend to Mr. Turgay and call the emergency services. Mr. Turgay's family questioned whether Mr. Joyce was at fault for the crash, but expert witness P.C. Somerton said he was not to blame. He told the court, "It was a rider error and happened as a direct consequence of his lack of training. I don't see what else Mr. Joyce could have done." Coroner Andrew Walker recorded a conclusion of multiple injuries caused by a road traffic collision. After the inquest, his younger sister, Kema Turgay, 23, told the Enfield Independent, "He will be remembered for the huge smile he always had on his face. He had a 1 in a million smile. He was so loved. He didn't have a bad word to say about anyone. Growing up, I remember him tormenting me as big brothers do, but he was always there for me. I looked up to him, and he was protective over me. I want him to know his family miss and love him, and that when we get together, we still think he's with us and talk about him all the time." His cousin, Osman Ali, 20, said, "He was unique. He was always jolly and a lot of fun. He was always joking around and had a great sense of humour. I can't describe the loss our family feels." Hassan's mother, Tulin Turgay, said, "Hassan, you will be truly missed in our hearts and forever in our thoughts. You are a son nobody could ever forget. Growing up, you were troublesome. Growing older, you never let anyone down. Such a special and amazing person, loved by everyone."
Very sad. Firebugs set fire to a slide at the children's play area in Grovelands Park and tried to burn down the park's cafe on Saturday night. The arson attack, which happened about 10:30 p.m, is estimated to have caused thousands of pounds worth of damage and has put the play area, which is popular with youngsters and parents, out of use. It is unclear how the intruders gained entry to the park in Southgate and whether the gates were locked at the time. The slide was damaged beyond repair, and netting on nearby climbing equipment was also destroyed. The arsonists also tried to set fire to the park cafe, but were unsuccessful. Footage from the cafe's CCTV is expected to be examined by police in the hope that the culprits will have been captured on camera. Winchmore Hill residents David and Geraldine Orfer both aged 76, are regular park users and were scared and shaken by the senseless crime. Mrs. Orfeur said, "We walk in the park, just the two of us, every day with our dog. It is very upsetting to think of it. You think you're safe, but you're not. It shatters your faith in humankind. It is such a senseless thing to do." Her husband added, "We don't know yet if the gates were unlocked. If they were locked and broken into, that is very serious indeed." Councillor Ertan Hurer, who represents Winchmore Hill Ward, said, "I visited the site myself and seen the damage. The children's slide has been burned and the whole play area has been cordoned off. The rest of the park is still open, and hopefully this won't stop residents using the park altogether." Peter Gibbs, chairman of the Consortium of Friends of Enfield Parks, said, "This was a terrible event. Because of these hooligans, the children's play area will be out of use for some time. We work closely with the park police and have every faith in them to do a good job, but they're not 24/7. They only work until 10 p.m. Whatever advice the police have for us about security, whether for shopping centres or for parks, we must listen. If we don't listen to the police, we are lost." Sonia.
A senior Labour Party member, Ben Maloney, called for his own party's prospective parliamentary candidate to be investigated in an explosive letter. Mr. Maloney, secretary of the Southgate Labour Party, was suspended 2.5 hours after a copy of his letter was forwarded to this newspaper. In it, he claims former Labour MP and candidate for Enfield North, Joan Ryan, is a cancer at the heart of the Labour Party. In the strongly worded letter, addressed to the chairman of the Southgate Labour Party, Anthony Cleary, Mr. Maloney raises several concerns about Miss Ryan, claiming she is undermining democracy in Enfield. Mr. Maloney was deeply critical of fundraising officer for Southgate, Ibrahim Dogus, claiming Mr. Dogus donated £1,250 to Tory MP Nick Dubois, despite the fact that he'd been involved in fundraising for Miss Ryan. He also claimed that since Mr. Dogus became fundraising officer, he had not raised a single penny for parliamentary candidate Bambus Charalambus. Mr. Maloney, who had been secretary for 5 years, had intended to step down at the party's annual general meeting last week, but was banned from attending the meeting and from representing the Labour Party at any level. Mr. Maloney told the Enfield Independent he was disappointed by the stance taken by the Labour group. He said, "What has disappointed me most is that the Labour Party has, instead of investigating the things I have said in my letter, all of which are very serious, decided to suspend someone, me, who has volunteered for 5 years and worked hard to help the Labour Party. The party has turned a blind eye to this because of the financial benefits Ibrahim brings to the party. This is not Joan versus me, that was never my intention, but the things that she and Ibrahim Dogus are doing to impact the party in Southgate are wrong and causing problems for Labour." Ms. Ryan said that she would not be drawn into commenting on the letter and stated that she would stick to policies in the build-up to the election and not dirty politics. A spokesman for the London Labour Party said, "Ben Maloney has been suspended from representing the Labour Party at any level."
Enfield said salut to its very first French market. Run by Savoir-Faire, stalls were set up to sell a variety of continental goods ahead of the festive period. Visitors to Fountain Island in Church Street, Enfield Town, bought cooked meats such as ham and pastrami, breads and pastries, cakes, cheeses and clothing on Saturday. Councillor Alan Sitkin, Enfield Borough Council's Cabinet Member for Economic Development, said, "I for one said bienvenue to this fabulous French market and made a dash straight for the cheese stall. There was also going to be fresh baking on site. Fantastique." As well as the French stalls, there were quality goods and produce from other European countries. Enfield Council is working hard to promote its town centres and the businesses that are its lifeblood. This is done by arranging events and festivals, showcasing good retail opportunities, and ensuring we plan our streets to increase footfall and make our shopping areas welcome to everyone. There is no reason to go any further than Enfield for this year's Christmas shop.
Wow. People in Enfield are being asked to share festive goodwill by donating decorations to North London Hospice. The annual Access Self-Storage Christmas Appeal is calling on people to donate new or nearly new Christmas decorations, such as trees, lights, baubles, bells or stockings, to the charity, to allow them to share some festive fun with the people they support. Decorations can be dropped off at Thornton Road Storage in Edmonton. Director of Fundraising at North London Hospice, Robin Langrish, said, "We try to help our patients live life to the full despite their illness. Christmas is a time for family and celebrating. And here at North London Hospice, we aim to make sure patients who are with us over the festive season do not miss out on any of it." Stephen Church, manager for Access Self-Storage Edmonton, said, "We have created a drop-off point in our stores. All the donations will be sorted and delivered to North London Hospice, where they will be used to bring some Christmas magic for everyone there during the holidays."
An Enfield campaign group for older residents is advising people of all ages not to make use of the free medication delivery service, Pharmacy to You. Monty Meth, president of the Over 50s Forum, warned service users to think twice about signing up for the company's free delivery of NHS prescriptions. Pharmacists report that residents have been receiving letters from Pharmacy to You featuring the NHS logo as well as the company's own logo. These people have then contacted the company under the mistaken belief that the invitation to sign up to the service comes directly from their own pharmacists. As part of an NHS scheme to move towards digital prescriptions, GPs have introduced the NHS electronic prescription service, whereby those with the authority to prescribe medication, such as GPs and practice nurses, can send prescriptions electronically to any dispenser the patient chooses. Using Pharmacy to You, people can order medication online, over the telephone, or using the Pharmacy to You mobile app to be delivered to their home, their workplace, or another location. The company says the data is purchased from reputable providers, in line with the best practice guidelines of the Direct Marketing Association. But Mr. Meth is worried the service could undermine the role of the pharmacist in the community. When getting GP appointments is so hard, people are relying on their local chemist for advice and information, he said. We are keen on developing the role of the pharmacist in the community. This could undermine it. The letters people are getting, inviting them to sign up for Pharmacy to You, are arguably targeted at older people. They talk about not having to go out in the cold. When you see the NHS logo, it gives the impression it's from your NHS chemist. I wish I knew where they're getting our information from. The letter I received had my full name, which is the name I'm registered with, my doctor under, my address, and my doctor's surgery. The chemist wouldn't give that information out, and the surgery wouldn't dream of it. Bhavna Patel, the pharmacist at Park View Pharmacy in Bramley Road, Southgate, said, "People like the idea of a personal delivery, but most pharmacies in the area can do that anyway. Lots of people have been confused because they believe the letter comes from us. They email us to say sorry for not having signed up yet. A lot of people are worried about how the company got their details. It's not clear to people exactly who they are and if there's a real person to speak to. If mistakes happen, it can be very confusing. In an emergency, it puts us in a very difficult situation. We could usually call up the surgery very quickly if somebody comes in with an empty bottle, but if their prescription goes elsewhere, it's hard." Dr. Julian Harrison, a pharmacist and a director at Pharmacy to You, said, "The service is well established and used by thousands of patients who require regular medication. It tends to be a useful option for those who don't find a traditional high street pharmacy a convenient choice, and is often popular with people who work long hours, the elderly and housebound, and busy commuters who want to save time. We have an experienced and friendly customer service team who receive excellent feedback from patients. You can also speak to a pharmacist for advice and guidance about your medication. We've been writing to tell patients that our repeat prescription service is now an option for them. The letter clearly states that it is from Pharmacy to You, so I am sorry if anyone has been confused by it."
More than 3,000 fixed penalty notices were issued for driving offences in the borough last year, new figures have shown. Road safety charity Brake released the figures as it launched its Road Safety Week. Across Enfield Borough, 3,105 fixed penalty notices were issued for speeding and 108 for careless driving, which became a fixed penalty offence in August 2013. Enfield's worst postcode was EN3, which covers Enfield Lock, Enfield Highway, Enfield Island Village and Ponders End, with a total of 533 offences in 2013. The best came in N18, Upper Edmonton, with 259 penalties last year. Julie Townsend, Deputy Chief Executive of Brake, said, "When drivers use roads without care for others, the consequences can be tragic and horrific. People killed and badly injured, lives ruined forever because of a moment of impatience or selfishness." In the capital, a total of 73,804 fixed penalty notices were issued, 2,275 for careless driving and 71,529 for speeding. The worst postcode in the country for speeding was SL6 in Maidenhead, where 1,831 offences were noted. Stoke-on-Trent's ST3 postcode was the worst for penalties of careless driving, with 45. Brake has released figures showing how many fixed penalty notices were issued by postcode area last year. The figures relate to the home address of the offender. For a full table of the results for Enfield postcodes, visit www.enfieldindependent.co.uk.
A community campaigner has launched a bid to halt the building of a school on an open space that will be swallowed up by the Meridian water development. Grace Camel of Dysons Road, Edmonton, is chairwoman of residents of Edmonton Angel Community Together and is furious that the Ladysmith Road open space near her house may be transformed from a children's play area into a school that will cater for the children of the households that will make up the Meridian water development. We have no problem whatsoever with a school being built for the new homes, and it is great that it looks as though transport links will be improved, she told the Advertiser. But what is very frustrating is that each area has their own green space, and we have none. If you look at the statistics, our area has the highest unemployment level, high levels of mental health problems, and we are neglected here. We see that the other side of the North Circular gets everything and we get nothing. When the plans for Meridian Water came along, we said we were fine with it as long as we lost nothing. We have never been able to have a say about anything that happens in our neighbourhood. However, an Enfield Council spokesman has insisted that the people in Dyson's Road have not been forgotten about. He added, the Meridian Water Master Plan that was adopted in July 2013 shows an option for a school to be built on this open space, and also refers to the creation of a public park with children's play space. This is currently being built on land off Conduit Lane and is known as Angel Gardens. Phase 1 of the new park includes a new play equipment and children's play space and is under construction. It is scheduled to be open early in 2015, with the remainder of the park opened by the end of the year.
Lights twinkled and crowds cheered as Christmas lights were switched on. Christmas festivities in Enfield Town kicked off on Saturday with a sparkling start as Santa Claus paraded through the town and turned on the lights in the countdown to Christmas. Santa and his team led a host of festive characters through the Palace Gardens shopping centre on Saturday afternoon, including roller skating baubles, Christmas puddings, stilt walking bells, and ice queens. Annabel Payne of Edmonton came to see the event with her friends and said, "I absolutely love Christmas, so it's great they have this event, so you can see Christmas has officially come to Enfield." After winning a social media campaign, Mother Eva Avelte and son Martin joined Father Christmas and his festive brass band to flick the switch. Hundreds of people visited the centre and lined the pavements to see the parade, with cheers echoing through the streets as the lights lit up. Palace Gardens manager Paul Duke said, "Today was the day that Christmas came to our community in Enfield. All month, Palace Gardens has been hitting local and social media to let Enfield know of a terrific community event to get the Christmas season off to a fizz and a bang. What a day we've had. What a celebration. What a Christmas in Enfield."
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over, and start side 2.